Hey guys, it's Fancy. You're watching the Good Wives Network. And Susan Smith, the schmurdering mama who watched her two children drown as she sank them into a lake in South Carolina in 1994, is now up for parole. And according to an article in Fox News, she has told her suitors in jailhouse calls that she is ready to go ahead of the parole hearing. Now, Susan Smith has been behind bars for nearly 3 decades after drowning her two sons, but she is now optimistic about her upcoming parole hearing, reportedly telling one of her several suitors on a recorded phone call that she served enough time in prison. Family members told the New York Post that the notorious South Carolina inmate, who is now 52 years old, has spent the last several months convinced that a parole board will let her out of prison after her upcoming hearing on November 4th. And in preparation for this, she has been working on courting her admirers. And according to recorded calls from Leith Correctional Institution, reviewed by the Post, the convicted schmurderer carried on a romantic and sexual conversations with at least 12 suitors over the past 3 years. So I just don't understand people like that write these murderers in prison, especially ones who have killed their children. I can't with them. But, quote, "It's time for me to get out," Smith told one such suitor over the phone earlier this year. "I've done my time. I'm ready to go." In March, she asked another man how he could support her if she is paroled. And according to another conversation reviewed by the Post, the man replied that she has a large nest egg, a combination of money that he had saved up, gifts from her admirers, and the sale of family property waiting for her if she gets out. Quote, "I'll tell you what I did last night thinking of you. I made a spreadsheet that starts out with $213,000, the caller told the notorious inmate. "And you're going to have more than that. I think you'll be in the $220,000 range all put together. You can spend $40,000 a year while you're withdrawing from that balance, and it's still earning interest on the undrawn amount." So he says, he continues with, "In 20 years' time, you will have spent most of that," he said, "but you will still have some of it left over." And then there is a short pause, and Smith tells him that she loves him, and then he says that he loves her too. Now, then the conversation, they go on to allege that the conversation went into a raunchy, sexual type of conversation after that. Talking about, things they could do in the front seat of their car and what they wanted to do when she gets out, and kind of naughty, interesting, very disturbing conversations from a person like this. Late last year, she said she had ways to get his speculation how she might cater to him in the morning. And she says, "I can get you up in the morning," she said coyly, "and I mean up." But, it's unlikely that she is going to be paroled. This is her first attempt after the 3 decades. She was 22 years old when she watched her two sons fall into the according to the South Carolina Department of Corrections records, Smith began her life sentence on November 4th, 1994, after she was convicted on 2 counts of murder in the deaths of sons Michael Daniel Smith III and Alexander Tyler Smith, who was 14 months old. Smith let her car roll into John D. Long Lake in Union County, South Carolina, with both boys strapped in their car seats. And she stood by as the vehicle sank to the bottom and both children were drowned. She was 22 years old at the time, and initially she had told investigators that a black man had carjacked her while 2 boys were still in her car. She went alongside her husband David Smith on national television just days later, pleading for their safe return and letting them know that their mama loves them so much. 9 days later, though, she confessed she was allegedly motivated by her affair with a wealthy man who didn't want children. Her prospective affair partner and ex-boyfriend Tom Findley penned a letter a week earlier that prosecutors said drove Smith to drown the boys. It said, and it stated, Susan, I could really fall for you, but like I have told you before, there are some things about you that aren't suited for me. And yes, I am speaking about your children, he wrote, according to Desert News. David Smith, the father of the 2 little boys, has since remarried and has fathered 2 additional children, and he and his family intend to oppose Smith's release. A spokesperson for the family said David still thinks of his boys every day and doesn't ever want Susan to get out. She belongs in jail. She is exactly where she needs to be, in prison, and we will do what it takes to keep her there. So, we'll see how this goes in November to see if she is actually going to be granted parole. Like I said earlier, it's not likely, not on the first attempt, and certainly not on many others. I'm going to tell you, these women don't usually get out of prison. And I don't think that she should be allowed out of prison, and I don't think that she should be allowed to be around other children or anything of that nature, because I think she's still very dangerous. And if another man were to tell her to do something like that, she probably would. So have a good one from the Good Wives, serving up true crime, one dish at a time. Bye, guys. Mwah.